Hey everybody, it's Kathy. Welcome to episode 36 of Mondays on the Mat. I'm coming to you live from my office/yoga room. And today's topic is intuitive readings and yoga. I'm stopping myself right there. Because I almost said it already. Without warning you, there might be a little bit like maybe 3 or 4 times a little bit of adult language. So if you're watching at work or around sensitive ears, you might just want to put in your headphones or save this and watch it later when you are in a space where that won't matter. Because today's topic is intuitive readings and yoga. What the fuck? What does an intuitive reading or an oracle card reading have to do with yoga, and why am I talking about Mondays on the mat? Why am I using a yoga channel to talk about oracle cards? So what we're going to do today is I'm going to answer the question that I've been getting a lot recently, which is what are oracle cards and what is an oracle card reading? I'm going to make the connection to what that has to do with yoga. And then I'm going to give you a little sample of what an oracle card reading might look like if it was something that you were interested in learning about. So oracle cards are modern day tarot cards, and most people know what tarot cards are. But they're an inspirational tool. So the oracle cards aren't meant to predict the future or get rid of weird, creepy curses, or I don't know, whatever images tarot cards bring up for you. That's not the point of an oracle card reading. They're really meant to help you find meaningful answers, to gain clarity, and maybe find some healing or forward momentum in your life. And the cards are really powerful, loving messages that they have like tons of positive energy, and they're really meant to inspire you and empower you deep on the inside. So they help you tap into your own intuition, your own knowingness, and maybe for some of us, what we consider our connection to the divine or to source energy or to our spirit guides. I think I'm going to leave it right there and just real quick talk about how that has anything to do with yoga, just so you can understand the connection, and then we'll move deeper into the cards, into card readings, etc. And I know this is backwards because I'm using the reverse camera angle, but the book that I use and teach the style of yoga I teach is the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and this is a style of yoga called Raja Yoga. I talked about it in depth in episode 2 and a little bit in episode 3 of Mondays on the Mat, so you can always go back and watch those episodes to learn more about this style of yoga. The book is divided into 4 chapters. And I remember 11 years ago when I was in my first teacher training and I first got introduced to this book. My training was led by 2 very well-known, well-esteemed instructors, and they were like, oh, chapter 3 and 4, those are occult powers, and we're just not even going to go there because you don't want occult powers, and blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of freaked out. I was like, oh, I'm scared of yoga right now. And I really kind of did forget all about those 2 last chapters, and I didn't really study them or read them for a long time. But here's what's really interesting. I'm just going to read you what this author says in the beginning of chapter 3. He says, the vibhuti are accomplishments which are byproducts of yoga practice. So basically, if you show up and do yoga for a long time with an earnest, sincere devotion, without attachment to what's going to happen, you'll get these byproducts. And they're also sometimes called siddhis, or supernatural powers. These powers begin to come with the practice of the last 3 limbs of yoga, which is dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So if you're practicing an 8-limbed yoga practice, those last 3 parts are what combine to make meditation. So if you're practicing meditation for a long time consistently without break, what this author is saying, it will tap you into supernatural powers. Now, here's what I think about the word supernatural. I think it's bullshit. Because when you see a flock of birds tapping into this intuitive energy, so there's a big old flock of birds and they all of a sudden change direction. They make that cool, gorgeous shape in the air and they don't end up in a giant ball crashing to the ground. That's not supernatural. You're like, wow, that's amazing and beautiful. How do they do that? Or you see like a bee goes back to the hive and does his little bee dance, and all of a sudden the rest of the bees know where to go find the flowers. And you're like, that's incredible. How do those bees know how to do that? It's that intuitiveness, that supernatural, but it's not. It's totally natural skill that we all have, and it's tapping into source energy. Some people call it the vortex, some people call it divine guidance. I like to think of it as this thing I call the cosmic jellyfish, which is that everything is a vast energy of love and light, and each of us is a unique tentacle. And so we're connected to that source energy. And when we practice yoga for a long time, that connection becomes really clear. It's always there, but we're able to see it and understand it and trust it. So your intuition is that divine guidance that helps let you live a soul-centered life. And it's really exciting. So oracle cards are a tool that help us tap into that intuitive guidance. And you can totally do this for yourself, by the way. You can buy a deck of oracle cards and learn how to trust your own intuition, or not. And to me, it's like, well, I could change the oil in my car, and I'm going to be slow, and I'm going to be sloppy, and it's going to be awkward. And if I did it for a really long time, I would get great at it. Or I could take my car over to, super duper fast and go oil change and let someone who knows what they're doing do it for me, and I pay them for that service. So this is the same thing with oracle cards and intuitive readings. You can totally do it yourself, or you can go to someone who has practice and experience and have them help you and guide you through the process of a reading. So the reason I got excited, and I've been first of all, I'm so excited, you guys. I've been having my cards read since I was in my mid-teens, and I still have them read now. I just had a reading not too long ago. And the reason that I still continue to use a card reader, whose name is Lindsay, by the way, and she's amazing. And if you want an amazing card reading and you don't want one from me, I'm going to post a link to her because she is the fucking bomb, you guys. But sometimes I'm just too caught up in my own head and my own BS to be able to clearly read my cards. So she's cool. We had a phone conversation like 2 weeks ago, and she sent me this deck of oracle cards, and they're called the Mother Mary Oracle. I know it's backwards, but the woman's name is Alana Fairchild. And she sent me these cards, and it was the first deck, and I've got tarot cards and other decks of cards, but this was the first one that I felt like the energy of love pouring off of these cards, number one, is astounding. They're so positive and so nurturing. And I immediately got that intuitive guidance that I needed to start doing card readings for other people. So I have lots of experience being on the receiving end. I have a lot of yoga practice honing my focus and concentration, and I am highly intuitive. And so when I got the guidance that I needed to start doing that for other people, I trusted it 100%. So in this deck, there are 42 cards, and I'm going to show you the back right now on purpose. And this deck comes with a book. And so each card has a message, and the message is sort of broken up into 3 parts. Again, I know this is backwards, but just so you get it, there's like a really lovely message, a whole bunch of description, and then at the end, another little bit that says, like, if you got this oracle in a reading, here's what it could potentially mean for you. And so again, using the cards is to help you hear the messages and tap in for guidance, for clarity, for healing. And so then there's 2 different readings that I do for other people and I do for myself that I feel are really helpful. One is a 1-card reading and one is a 3-card reading. For either one, you think of a question or an area of your life where you want that guidance or clarity or healing. And it's really important that you keep the question focused on yourself. So if there's like someone in your life, like say you're a parent and your 15-year-old is struggling, you can't be like, what message does my 15-year-old need to hear? Like, that's not how it works. It's always, what do I need to hear? What do I need to understand? What guidance is trying to come through me? That kind of stuff. And so then you ask that question, and if you do a one card, that one card is directly towards the question. If you do 3 cards, it represents past, present, and future in such a way that the messages help you integrate your past, to understand the present, and give you guidance to move forward in the future. And so they're both really effective. It's just depending on the nature of your question and what it is that you're seeking in the reading. And then the way that I do it is I shuffle the deck always, and either the card sort of falls out, or I just all of a sudden go, that's the card, or sometimes as I'm like moving through the deck, one of them will sort of like get stuck and not want to go back in, and I'm like, that's the card I need to read. And can I tell you something hysterical right now? When I was doing that demonstration for you about how I pull cards, I got this card number 35, Our Lady of Divine Direction. Can I tell you something about this really fast as an aside? When this deck came to me, the cards are in order, and they're kind of sticky, and I was like, I'm just gonna pull a card out of this deck for fun without really like asking any questions, and I got this card. And then the next morning I shuffled the deck deliberately and got them unstuck from each other, and I pulled a card. And I got this card. And then I kind of had done it like another time. I shuffled the deck and I got this card and I put it on top. And the next day I shuffled the deck completely and I pulled from the bottom, which I never do. So the card was on the top, shuffled, pulled from the bottom. I got this card. So sometimes that's like part of it. There's something really important in the message of this card for me right now. And, if you're curious, let me know in the comments and I will totally have more of a discussion about it. But I think that's just kind of a great example of the coolness and the powerfulness of these messages that can come through for you in an oracle card reading. And please, if you have questions or comments or whatever, jump in here and like, let's get it on, because this stuff can sometimes be perceived as bullshit, like I'm just like reading your body language or whatever, or that I'm just saying what you want me to hear. There's no such thing as divine guidance, but there is such a thing as intuition, and we all have it. Oh, and hi, Karen. Karen's asking, are they always positive? That is such a super great question. And when I'm listening, so here's when I do readings, sometimes I pause and I listen and I'm getting that intuitive guidance. And then I talk kind of weird because I hear words one at a time and I start saying them like that. So as I answer Karen's question, I'm getting a sense that's how I need to do it. Are the messages always positive? Yes, because any guidance you receive is loving guidance. Oh, thank you, Karen, for asking that question, because you reminded me I need to say something. The energy of the universe, God, source energy, cosmic jellyfish, vortex, whatever you want to call that energy, is pure positive love. It's the only energy that is the truth in the universe. And so anytime you're connecting into guidance, that guidance is coming from a place of pure, unconditional love. And your guides love you so much, you can't even comprehend the ridiculousness of the amount of love that is pouring to you at all times. Yes, the messages are always positive. Yes, they're always healing. Yes, they're always inspirational. And yes, they are always empowering. whoa. And that is why this deck turns me on, is because the energy in the deck and in the artwork is so loving. Let me just randomly show you like one picture of the artwork. And the artwork is just, ooh, it's a little bit of a reflection. The artwork is just absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. So part of a reading is that you look at the image, you read the caption, and then you, like I do, I like to use the book as a jumping off point to hear the messages a little bit more completely. I think especially because this deck is really specific to this divine, loving, motherly type guidance. So let's have like a little bit of a practice reading. So normally readings are one-on-one, and we can do them in person or we can do them over the phone. And because that way it's about the one person, right? So you're thinking the question yourself and I read it for you, or whatever. So as I'm doing a reading that's kind of for everybody, I want to think of a question that would serve the greatest good of whoever is watching the video today. And if you, before I do it, if you do a reading with me, you don't have to say your question out loud. You can just think it or feel it in your body as the cards come up, and you don't even have to talk during the reading. But I feel like if we converse back and forth, that's going to help me hear more clearly the messages, because the energy is subtle energy that then I need to interpret through the filter of my human experience. And so sometimes I'm getting close, but because of my experiences, I'm not quite nailing it. And if we go back and forth, I can hit it better. Like, for example, the reading Lindsay did for me a couple weeks ago said something about like a person. And I was like, but every time I read that, I'm getting this in my mind. And she's like, that's exactly correct. I was interpreting that energy as a person, but if you're interpreting it this way, then that's true because there are people involved in what you're talking about. Okay? So let's just set a question or an intention that whoever's watching this video live now or even later after the live recording get a message that will positively lift their vibration today. Okay, so we're just looking for a message that's going to positively lift your vibration today. And so I'm looking down. Okay, this is totally how it works, you guys. I was looking down to help shuffle the cards, and this one fell in my lap. Okay, and it fell face up. It didn't even fall face down, even though I had the cards face down. So check out the image because that's part of a reading. And I know it's backwards, so I'm going to turn it around so I can read what the caption says. Our Lady of Blessing bestowed. I asked for like something to elevate yourself today, and the blessing has been bestowed. Oh my gosh, I'm super stoked on that. So let's turn to the book though and get a little bit more information. So the card has a number, and that was card number 26. So I'm just going to flip open to card 26. And I'll read, like I said, I'm going to read out loud the first little bit and then skip to the end. So it says, I am offering you a spiritual gift now, the gift of a heavenly blessing. So cool. This blessing may come through a person, place, or thing, or spiritual from within your own heart, unfolding like a blooming rose. I ask that you trust me because in receiving this blessing, things will change. The changes are a shedding of that which holds you back from fully receiving my blessing. My blessing asks you to trust and have courage as I help you leap into your divine fulfillment more swiftly than you could do on your own. So as you go through the rest of your day today, there's a person or it could be a place like work or home or an object And the moment you see it, there's going to be like a realization of how truly blessed your life is right now. And so this card and this reading where I said, can it elevate your vibration today? It's like that person or that place or even deep within you, you're going to remember the goodness that you have in your life, and you're just going to feel a little bit better knowing that right now today there's so much goodness surrounding you. But let's flip over to the end and see what it says. With the onset of this blessing, you might have a subtle reorientation, or you might suddenly feel like you are heading in a very different direction. Either way is perfect for you. Trust. All will be well. And as soon as the chaos of change will be And soon the chaos of change will be replaced with great joy, gratitude, and even deeper loving trust in the tender genius of the Divine Mother's grace. So that subtle reorientation, that's kind of the thing that I'm picking up on from this card for this general reading for everybody. Now, you may have heard something different, and that's why I like to read it and have a conversation with you. Like, for example, Natalie picked up on the part about trust and have courage. Like, absolutely, that's what these cards are about, is like you hearing and then we talk about it. So Karen was asking, can you reread the last couple of sentences? Totally. I'll just reread that whole last little section. And then, yeah, something jumps out at you, let me know, and I'll see if I hear anything else. With the onset of this blessing, right, from this card, which is that your blessings are bestowed. With the onset of this blessing, you might have a subtle reorientation, or you might suddenly feel like you're heading in a very different direction. Either way is perfect for you. Trust. All will be well. And soon the chaos of change will be replaced with great joy, gratitude, and even deeper loving trust in the tender genius of the Divine Mother's grace. I think a big word in there is also trust. Because a lot of us don't trust. We don't trust our intuition. We don't trust situations when they're messy or frustrating. And often it's that messy, frustrating stuff that's guiding us forward to a fuller life, a higher vibration, deeper soul-centered living, deeper connection to that source energy. So what I'm hearing is the reorientation of yourself to that truth, the reorientation of yourself to the fact that divine love is everywhere, and to see that the blessings have been bestowed, like it said in the beginning. The blessing is going to present itself to you through a person, a place, a thing, an object. Well, let's see what Karen says. The chaos of change will be replaced with joy. This is huge for me right now. A lot of change happening and feeling hopeful we are going to get a positive change. Yeah, absolutely. And so what we might do, Karen, and to everybody who's watching today, is we might do a specific reading for you, because this one, through reorientation. I'll get to you, Natalie, in just a second. Because this was a group reading for everyone, that message is resonating clearly with both Karen and Natalie, but there might be something deeper or more specific that they need to hear on an individual level. So what's going on right now through the end of December of 2017 is I'm offering one-card readings, which take about 15 minutes for free, as a thank you to all of the people who have supported me in the last 2 years. I've been through a lot of changes and asking for help and receiving with vast amounts of support, help from the universe through human beings. And this free one card reading is my way to give back that love and support. So we've got the free one card reading for 15 minutes, or the 3-card past, present, future reading. It takes about 30 minutes. It's a little bit longer, so I'm offering that at a reduced rate of between $15 and $20. I still honor gratitude pricing, which means you can select a rate that's most comfortable for you. And that special offer will go through the end of the year, and then starting in January, Oracle card readings will become a part of the things that I offer at a standard higher rate. So if you're really interested in getting a reading or learning more, you might want to take advantage of that now. So you can email me directly. I have a new email address, you guys. I just set it up today. It's Kathy with a C at kathy-weiss.com. I also redirected my website, so it's just kathy-weiss.com. You can use the contact there if you're someone who knows me intimately and you want to text me because you've got that information. That's cool. Email, whatever, and we'll schedule you a reading. Natalie said, trust through reorientation. And I totally agree with you, Natalie, that sometimes all we need to do is reorient our perspective and things start to change. All we had to do was like see something differently, and positive forward momentum begins again. I have all kinds of stories about that going on in my own life right now, but I'm a little too close to it to share, but I definitely will. If it's interesting to you guys, I'll share more about my own reorientation, maybe like in a month or so when I've kind of settled into it. Wow, I think that was a really fun episode of Mondays on the Mat. And hey, I have been pulling cards in my yoga classes here and there when that sort of guidance tells me to pull a card. So you might also check it out that way. We've got class this week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 5:30 to 7, Friday 9:30 to 11, and Saturday 9 to 10:30. Thank you so much for tuning in today, everybody. I'm really excited to help you raise your vibration and live a soul-centered life. So I look forward to seeing you in a yoga class or with an oracle card reading, either live and in person or over the phone. So please reach out, come see me, and have an awesome rest of your Monday. I will see you next week for another episode of Mondays on the Mat. Namaste, everyone.